Welcome to Aura Recaps, where we recap the best films with cinematic aura. Inside a cluttered room, a boy named Marty tried to play his guitar while waiting for Dr. Brown. The powerful sound from the giant speakers blasted him backward across the room. Suddenly, dozens of clocks rang at once, reminding him that he was running late. He rushed out, skateboarded to school, and grabbed onto moving cars to move faster through traffic. At school, he met his girlfriend Jennifer, who had also arrived late. The principal, Strickland, caught them and handed both detention slips, warning Marty not to spend time with Dr. Brown and claiming he was destined to fail just like his father.
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker.
Later, Marty performed with his band during an audition, but the judges rejected their music for being too loud. Jennifer comforted him, encouraging him not to give up. She told him he was talented and should keep applying to record labels because she believed in him completely. As they talked, an old woman approached and gave Marty a flyer, asking residents to help preserve the town's historic clock tower, which had been struck by lightning 3 decades earlier and had never been repaired since.
30 years ago, lightning struck that clock tower, and the clock hasn't run since.
Marty McFly, a 17-year-old high school student from Hill Valley, California, lived with his troubled family in 1985. His father, George, was often humiliated by his boss, Biff Tannen. That evening, as Marty returned from school, he found his father being yelled at by Biff, who continued to treat him poorly.
Hello? Hello? Anybody home? Huh?
During dinner, Lorraine told Marty she did not like Jennifer, saying that a girl chasing a boy was improper and that she had never done such a thing in her life. She then reminisced about how she met George years ago when he was hit by her father's car. Later that night, Marty received a call from Dr. Brown, asking him to meet at the mall. There, Doc excitedly revealed a modified DeLorean car that he had turned into a fully functional time machine. The car ran on plutonium and generated 1.21 gigawatts of power using a special component he called the flux capacitor.
Flux capacitor?
It's taken me almost 30 years of my entire family fortune to realize the vision of that day.
Doc explained that the vehicle needed to reach 88 miles per hour to travel through time. To demonstrate, he placed his dog, Einstein, inside the car and sent it 1 minute into the future. Marty recorded every detail, amazed by what he was witnessing. When the DeLorean reappeared exactly 1 minute later, with Einstein safe inside, the experiment was a success. Both Doc and Marty stood in awe, realizing the invention truly worked. Doc explained how the invention worked while Marty recorded him. He told Marty that a group of Libyan terrorists were after him because he refused to build them a nuclear bomb. Doc said he planned to travel 25 years into the future to the year 2010 to see how the world had changed. Before they could continue, Doc noticed a van speeding toward them. It was the Libyan terrorists he had stolen the plutonium from. They opened fire, killing Doc instantly. Panicking, Marty jumped into the DeLorean and sped away as the terrorists chased him. As one of them prepared to launch a grenade, Marty accidentally hit 88 miles per hour. The car suddenly vanished, leaving behind only 2 flaming tire tracks as he was transported through time to November 5th, 1955, the date Doc had entered into the system, the day he first imagined the flux capacitor.
This is what makes time travel possible. The flux capacitor.
After traveling through time, Marty found himself in a rural area on a farm that would one day become the Twin Pines Mall. The DeLorean crashed into a barn, startling the farmer and his family. Seeing Marty in his radiation suit, they believed he was an alien and that the car was a spaceship. The terrified farmer grabbed a gun and tried to shoot him, forcing Marty to escape. As he drove away, he accidentally ran over one of the 2 pine trees near the property, unknowingly changing the future mall's name from Twin Pines Mall to Lone Pine Mall. Believing everything to be just a bad dream, Marty drove toward his neighborhood, only to discover that it did not exist yet. Confused, he hid the DeLorean behind a billboard advertising the future Lion Estates housing development and started walking toward town. Once there, he was surprised by the vintage cars, old storefronts, and people's clothing styles, slowly realizing that something had gone terribly wrong. Marty stops at a diner where he unexpectedly runs into his father, George, as a teenager, along with a young Biff and his friends who are bullying him. The waiter tells George to stand up for himself and not let those people beat him up. Marty notices that the waiter is the future mayor and tells him he will become one. The waiter celebrates and decides to pursue that goal.
That's a good idea. I could run for mayor.
Marty then sees George leaving after their conversation. Curious, he follows his father and discovers that George is secretly spying on a girl changing clothes through binoculars. That girl turns out to be Lorraine, Marty's future mother. When George falls from the tree into the street, Marty instinctively pushes him out of the way and gets hit by the car instead. The man who hits him is his grandfather, Lorraine's father. He calls his wife, and they take Marty back to their house.
Ella! Another one of these damn kids jumped in front of my car!
When he regains consciousness, Marty wakes up in Lorraine's room. Thinking he is having a bad dream about going to the past, he tells the girl looking after him, and she replies that they are in 1955. Marty panics and realizes he really has traveled back in time, and the girl caring for him is actually his mother. She is young, attractive, and immediately infatuated with him, even calling him Calvin Klein after seeing the name on his underwear. At dinner, Lorraine flirts with him, making Marty uncomfortable. Her grandmother comments that Marty seems familiar, and he awkwardly agrees. Feeling uneasy, he quickly leaves and searches for Doc Brown. He locates Doc at his home using a phone directory. Marty tells Doc everything, showing him pictures of his family and his driver's license to prove he is from the future. Though skeptical at first, Doc eventually believes Marty's story after seeing the time machine and hearing his explanation about the flux capacitor. Marty shows Doc a video of the time travel experiment he recorded earlier.
This sucker's electrical, but I need a nuclear reaction to generate the 1.21...
Shocked by the video, Doc explains that returning to the future requires 1.21 gigawatts of power, which can only come from a lightning strike since plutonium is unavailable in the 1950s. Marty then remembers the flyer from 1985 that mentioned the clock tower being struck by lightning at exactly 10:04 p.m. on November 12th. With this knowledge, Doc agrees to help him plan a way back. However, he warns Marty not to interact with anyone to avoid changing history.
Anything you do could have serious repercussions on future events. Do you understand?
Marty soon realizes he has already interfered. His actions have prevented George and Lorraine from meeting. Doc explains that if they do not fall in love, Marty and his siblings will cease to exist. Marty looks at a photo of himself with his brother and sister from 1984 and notices that his brother's image is fading. Terrified, he knows Doc is right.
Let me see that photograph again of your brother.
Over the following days, Marty tries to bring his parents together, but Lorraine keeps showing interest in him instead of George. George, shy and fearful of Biff's constant intimidation, avoids confrontation. Marty approaches George to convince him to ask Lorraine to the dance party where they shared their first kiss. He tells George that Lorraine is interested in him, but George shyly insists he is not ready to ask a girl on a date.
I think she'd rather go with somebody else.
Noticing his father's fascination with science fiction stories, Marty decides to use that weakness to find another way to get George's attention and restore their relationship. He becomes more determined, realizing that his family's future depends on it.
It's really a pleasure to meet you.
How's your head?
Good.
That night, Marty dresses in a radiation suit, sneaks to George's house, and wakes him by playing loud Van Halen music. Pretending to be an alien named Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan,
Who are you?
he warns George to ask Lorraine to the school dance, or else he will die. Terrified, George agrees. The next day, he tells Marty about the strange dream and asks for help. Marty agrees to help him plan what to say to Lorraine.
Tell her that she is the most beautiful girl you have ever seen in the world.
When George finally tries to approach her, Biff interrupts and makes fun of him in front of everyone. Angry, Marty punches Biff and escapes using a skateboard he borrows from a kid. Biff and his crew chase him, but they cannot keep up and crash their car into a truck, embarrassing themselves in front of the entire town. The crowd watches in shock, while George is amazed by Marty's courage.
Thanks a lot, kid.
Doc later shows Marty the prototype he built for November 12th, explaining how he plans to send Marty back to 1985 using the lightning strike to power the car to 88 miles per hour. Lorraine then comes to see Marty and asks him to go to the dance with her. Marty tells her George already plans to take her, but she replies she is not interested in a man who cannot stand up for himself.
I think a man should be strong.
Hearing this, Marty becomes even more determined to help George. He trains him to approach Lorraine, teaching him confidence and how to stand up to Biff in front of her. Marty also tries to warn Doc about the upcoming attack that will kill him, but Doc refuses to listen, saying it might destroy the timeline. Worried, Marty secretly writes him a letter, hoping to save his life after returning to the future.
Please take whatever precautions are necessary to prevent this terrible disaster.
On the night of the dance, Doc prepares everything for the lightning experiment while the students get ready for the party. Marty drives Lorraine to the school parking lot to set up the plan, but is caught off guard when she starts drinking and smoking, then suddenly tries to kiss him. Lorraine stops midway, saying the kiss feels strange, almost like kissing someone related to her. Before Marty can react, Biff arrives drunk, pulls him out of the car, and locks him in a nearby trunk. Biff then starts harassing Lorraine.
Who you calling spook, Peckerwood?
Following the plan, George arrives and opens the car door, expecting to find Marty, but instead sees Biff. For the first time, George refuses to back down. When Biff tries to punch him, George hits him square in the face, knocking him unconscious. Lorraine looks at George with admiration, realizing he is brave after all.
Are you okay?
Meanwhile, Marty struggles inside the locked trunk, which belongs to the band playing at the dance. The guitarist, Marvin Berry, injures his hand while freeing Marty, so Marty takes his place on stage. While performing, he notices his siblings fading from the photo he carries. Another boy takes Lorraine to dance, and his hand begins to vanish too. Just in time, George steps in, asks Lorraine to dance, and they share their first kiss. Marty instantly feels restored. The music swells, and his family reappears in the photo, proving that history has finally been repaired. After the crowd asks for another song, Marty plays Johnny Be Good, astonishing everyone with his energy and skill. When he finishes, he quickly says goodbye to his parents and changes clothes to prepare for his trip home. Marty meets up with Doc, who gives him detailed instructions to travel back safely. As they say goodbye, Doc finds the letter Marty had written earlier, but he refuses to read it and tears it up, unwilling to know his own future.
Consequences could be disastrous!
That's a risk you're gonna have to take!
At the clock tower that night, a fallen tree damages the power cables needed to channel the lightning strike into the DeLorean. Doc scrambles to reconnect them as Marty prepares the car for departure. Marty tries to tell Doc about the future, but Doc cannot hear him through the storm. Realizing there is no time left, Marty rushes back to the DeLorean and starts driving. Despite several close calls and near failures, everything aligns perfectly at exactly 10:04 p.m. when lightning strikes and the DeLorean activates. Marty successfully returns to 1985, setting his timer 10 minutes early in hopes of saving Doc. Back in his own time, Marty arrives slightly too late due to an engine failure and watches helplessly as the terrorists shoot Doc. Grieving, he kneels beside him, but is stunned when Doc suddenly moves. He had survived by wearing a bulletproof vest, having secretly read Marty's letter after all. Smiling, Doc shows him the torn and taped letter as proof, then drives off in the DeLorean to explore the future and test new ideas.
About 30 years. It's a nice round number.
Look me up when you get there, all right?
The next morning, Marty wakes up to find his house completely transformed. His once struggling family is now confident, successful, and happy. George is an accomplished author, Lorraine is healthy and cheerful, Dave has a steady career, and Linda is thriving. Even Biff now works as a car washer for the McFlys.
I'm sorry, Mr. McFly. I meant I was just starting on the second course.
Outside, Marty meets Jennifer, excited about his new life and upgraded car. Just then, Doc reappears in a futuristic silver outfit and warns that something terrible will happen to their future children. He urges both to come with him to 2015. Marty and Jennifer climb into the DeLorean, which lifts off the ground, accelerates into the sky, and disappears through time. And with that, the story ends. Please like and subscribe to our channel for more of the best film recaps.